If the Limbus company community is anything, they are very vocal about the things that they like or the things that they believe should be in the game. So I asked all of you, what are your hot takes about Limbus company or the ProjectMoon studio as a whole? What I didn't tell you is that I would also be joined by a guest, and together we're going to be reacting to your hot takes and giving our own personal opinions on the matter. So, please enjoy the video. So, hello everyone, and welcome. I'm with, well, how about I let them introduce themselves?
Hello.
Hello, Frey. Yes, everyone, this is Frey. If you recall, a bit ago, I inquired to you all about some juicy hot takes. I also did not tell you that I would be having a guest with me to review the hot takes together.
Aw, you're gonna let me judge your community.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you.
Maybe this is a bad idea. Frey has suggested that me and them both put an opinion out on here.
Yeah, it's no fun if we don't get in on it,
That is
right?
true. I want to have you read your own one. Yeah, I feel like this is...
Sure.
Okay, have you read your own one.
Sure. I'll read the thing you asked me to phrase like 2 minutes before we recorded.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah.
The Jean Ren were half right.
Mm-hmm.
I personally believe they took their way into immortality and used it to lead into hedonism. But using that as a way to say that any interest in immortality is wrong is going to the other extreme. The issues with trying to prevent death aren't about morality alone, but largely about the execution and logistics. I think we can all agree that one of the biggest issues with immortality is being forced to live forever. But doesn't that seem much more difficult to invent than addressing, I don't know, aging, preventing illnesses, and other such issues to the point where people don't have to die but can choose to? We think about death in a way that makes it sound like we should treat it on some morality check after a point. But that ignores that the bigger issues are with having the resources to not make a longer life be worse for the people that live it and the others around them. In other words, I don't think that trying to live for a long time is overstaying a welcome. I just think that the bigger issue is that you need to account for what it ethically takes to make that happen. And saying that it's just immoral to try and seek that out for people is avoiding a solution that could improve the lives of so many folks. I'm pro-death, but I'd love to have the choice of when I go, you know?
Okay. All right. I think I understand what you mean. Technically, you are correct. There's nothing really wrong with wanting to live long besides how do you actually live long comfortably. Obviously, the Jiren have taken to a much extreme with their fucked up ass looks and the designs and the jaw, dude. Like, I don't know, bro. Is mortality really that worth it to you, bro? I guess so, bro.
Nah.
Like,
look,
it ain't
if
that
you want to
bad.
live a high-class hikikomori lifestyle where you're just making people do it for the fucking vine and destroying a country for it, I ain't gonna defend that. I am saying life would be better if we just lived until we were done.
This is definitely head propaganda. That's what this is, right? This is head propaganda because obviously
Really?
the logical behind it, it's like, you know, because you're right. As I said, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting to live long life, but the head's like, no immortality allowed. You have to die.
You know what? If this is how I can convince the head to let people have better healthcare, screw it. I'm down for it. There you go. That manners my ass. Thank you.
There you go. Now we're going to move on to my hot take. Kim Jae-hoon keeping ProjectMoon as a club is actually one of the major factors to ProjectMoon's success. And people shouting from the rooftops to demand rapid growth, major shifts in leadership, and just hire more people will lead to a downfall in not only Limbus company quality, but ProjectMoon as a studio entirely.
Interesting. I mean, there is truth to that. I feel like this is one of those things that some people will say with their full chest, and I respect it. But I know that there is like controversy on this. Yeah, because some people really do want PM to like get more employees as quickly as they can. Yeah, and to not have all the delays, which, considering the season's roadmap, I ain't gonna say I agree. But I get it.
Oh, we ain't getting Kanto 9 in December. We ain't getting... I love ProjectMoon, I love Kim Jae-hoon, I love the studio. We ain't getting that shit in December. That shit's coming February, maybe late January at best. And my thought behind this is that he's like 32. He's not like a 50-year-old CEO, right? Who's been doing this for 40 years, right? He is still brand new to this. And the fact that he's gotten this successful, obviously a little glaze here, is kind of fucking commendable to an extent.
No, I agree. I think it's ultimately a matter of when and not if he gets there.
It is.
But I think what you're saying, yeah, And I think what you're saying here is more like, hey, it's not a question of whether or not they're going to grow. It's a question of how does Kim Ji-hoon see himself maintaining the vision
Yeah,
that he has for the game so the
exactly.
people that are here still like it
Yeah,
as they get there. And that
correct.
shit takes time.
Uh-huh.
You know what? Maybe I will be 50 by the time I go to Project Moonland.
Yes, Project Moonland. I say as like in the retirement home.
Yeah, I'll have a hemo bar for my trouble.
Yes, a hemo bar for my troubles. Majority were taken from the Discord because obviously they had privilege. Others were taken from YouTube comments, and then a few were taken from extra social medias like Twitter and like Blue Sky. Number 1. Wild Hunt Heathcliff has never really felt that powerful to me. Almost 0 count application, and it takes years for his counter to ever see the S3 too. It can take a long while for him to ramp up to full power, especially on bosses. I'm not sure if I'm just using him wrong, but he feels so nothing to me. Not bad, but he feels overhyped as hell. I think that is 100% a you issue.
I wish I could speak to this one more because I never have really hyperfixated on Wild Hunt Heath. I never really got into studying IDs much until season 5 hit. So my insight on this is kind of limited. But I think if you're looking at him from like how quickly does his stuff proc, I can see this, but I also have to question, are you using the counter? This is like, see, this was meant to be like the peak of season 4 for Limbus, and
Yeah.
it takes like 3 turns for him to get to not his entire peak. This is like a form of his peak. I just wonder, are you expecting something quicker? They could also be comparing them to season 5 and 6 IDs, in which case
That is a potential.
yeah.
There's a discussion to have there. I'm sure it'll pop up again and we can go in more into detail there.
Telling people to cheese fights with X Sinner or Y of 8 strat is terrible and feeds them to the PM players can't read allegations because it doesn't teach new players anything. Congrats! You've told someone that many fights in the game can be checked with an evade skill solo. Now you're subjecting them to an RNG-filled reset fest instead of having the player engage with the intended game mechanics. Then when said cheese stops working against a boss in the future, the player has hit another wall because they still haven't learned anything and you robbed them the chance to learn against a weaker boss. I might need to reread it, but on a first glance, I wholehearteady agree with this
Agreed.
one.
Full agree.
Again, day oneer player, but even day oneers had like early IDs when going through Kantos 1 through 3. Even back then, you didn't have to do a ton of reading. A person that had barely anything in Kantos 1 through 3 had to do less reading than a person that has everything in Kantos 7 and 8.
I think that's fair.
For one, I'm not sure how much reading you really would need to do in the first 3 and why you would need to worry too much, but I feel like regularly steeping yourself over time if possible. Again, day oneer, so maybe I don't have that insight, but that helps you lean into it. Using like foo strats like the Y of 8 or X Sinner.
I also think this definitely pertains to a special few fights I can think of. Donback, Ricardo are the 2 major ones I can think of early on in the game. Ricardo obviously and Dongbak being the biggest walls of a new player where you are actually forced to read the mechanic. Especially with Ricardo, you want to hit him with blunt damage. That's the whole gimmick. You don't want to be blunt weak. So you have characters there. So a lot of people come up, like, how do you cheese Ricardo? How do you cheese? And I always tell people, look, it's okay to lose. And I think this is another thing that will be brought up. A lot of people really don't like losing. They don't like learning the fight. They don't like learning. And I'll quickly bring up another one. Kanto 7 Dad Coyote was another one of these instances where people were like, just cheese with solo Don, and then just solo Don. But I'm like, well, that not only takes the experience out of the fight. No, for me it does. I'm like, I refuse.
Well, so funny thing about that particular fight.
Oh no.
That is the one major boss I cheesed, and that's just because I was doing a stupid challenge.
No, I remember.
Okay, I think the only way to do it was to do
you were doing something hedonistic, so that's fair.
If you're playing normally, that's very different.
Exactly.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Exactly. We're not. Sometimes we're not playing normally, so because we're not normal, we can do unnormal strategies. 2 stars don't actually serve a purpose in the scheme of Limbus Company as a rarity. Most of the time, a lower rarity in gachas is used to serve as filler between the time you start and the time you get actual good units or significantly cheaper costs to raise. In Limbus, this time is significantly less due to sharding, and no sharding 2 stars is not an effective investment. With Thread being the easier of the two resources to invest in an identity. With XP being the same across all rarities, that investing in one of the lower ones doesn't actually give you much of a resource benefit and means you're a worse identity investment in most cases. I stuttered a lot during that one, but I'm putting my hand on the table. Here's what I'm going to say to this. You're kind of correct. kinda correct. Because there are a lot of 2-stars in the game that are really good. Aspect of those 2-stars, they're pretty much just worse 3-stars still, because that is the nature of a 2-star. And especially in the modern day Limbus, and I'll bring this up here, because I think I agree with Kim Ji-hoon on the fact that there should be less 2-stars. It's harder for them to make a balanced good 2-star than it is to make a balanced strong 3-star.
I
yeah,
feel
go
pretty
ahead.
similarly to that, yeah. I feel pretty similarly. The one thing that I'm wondering about, I think economically speaking, both in terms of making actual money and in terms of like resources, I agree. And PM hasn't really worked out how to handle IDs that both are meant to be weaker than the base 3-0 and also scale with how the story's power creep is going. Like, that's an odd place to be. The only place where I can give some pushback, and I'm trying to find a good example of this. Actually, Mariachi Sinclair is a good example of this for pushback.
Okay.
For a bit. Maybe not immensely, but for a
Uh-huh.
bit. I think if you see Tunils and they were given like some of the better support passives rather than active passives, then you would have a greater reason to put them on a team with chain battles. But the balance there would be that, yes, even though they're cheaper to upgrade, they're generally weaker. So you are trading off a stronger front for a weaker finish when you have them. But even that, I'll admit, I'm kind of reaching.
And there are some 2-star exceptions that I will gladly hold my hand out. Sync Otis might as well just be a 3-star. Don't know why she's a 2-star. Lantern Yisang, and I will stand by this, is the most balanced best 2-star in the entire game.
Ha! There we go.
I love Lantern Yisang.
That guy just pushes my buttons so well. I love a man that's born to die, flash lose ID, and has both like plus and minus coins. It's not even the fact that I know how to use him excellently, but he just scratches an itch for me that I just appreciate.
Not only that, but I think he serves the purpose of a 2-star perfectly. Fucking fucked up gimmick, but serves a goddamn purpose. What?
That's true.
No other ID in the game has 15-3, wants to lose the clash, wants to die at the end of like his 5 or 6 turns into the fight, and then is like, all G guys, this is my purpose. No one is like that. And I think we need more Lantern Yisangs.
Queen of Hatred Dawn is an underdeveloped ID for Walpurgis Noct. I want you to cook more. I want to hear more. Like, are you saying that it's not fully thought through? Like, there's not enough there? Like, I guess I think if I can try and interpret what they're saying, if a Walpurgis Night ID or Walpurgis Night ID is going to be based off an abnormality, it should come with the benefits and drawbacks of that abnormality to a degree. Like, we see that with Magic Bullet Otis, both the ego and the ID. You have a risk of harming your allies. I never got the sense that the Queen of Hatred Dawn made me feel like I was having to manage them like the actual Queen of Hatred. It's more like, oh, are you in your positive form? That's great. You get a really good 1-attack weight skill 3. Are you in your negative form? Oh yeah? You get a more attack weight skill 3
bigger
that
damage.
does a super amount of damage. Yeah, like there's not really something to manage other than having close to 0 SP, which I'm gonna assume, give benefit of the doubt, this is what they're saying. Like, they want some drawback.
This definitely feels like the quote where it's like, comparison is the sin. This is 100% comparing them to Night of Despair Rodion. But I don't think you can compare them to Night of Despair Rodion, because from my understanding here, Night of Despair Rodion is, first of all, she's a whole different mess. Secondary, this is definitely the more simple of a like the simpler ID, and then the more complex Walpurgis ID. Like they're supposed to serve 2 different purposes, right? And some people say, you know, the reason she's not as strong as Notice is because she has the ego. Like, she has to, you know, you work with the ego, which, don't get me wrong, the ego is really good. It's a very good ego. But you can definitely play her without the ego and be perfectly fine. Not to mention also, by the way, I'm pretty sure this was before the buffs to Queen of Hatred.
There were buffs?
Yes, so there was a bug with Queen of Hatred, Don Quixote. She was getting, like, her charge potency was getting cumulatively added. So it was like, she was getting, like, way more potency than she should, right? And so Kim Jong-un was like, all right, we're gonna have to bug fix this, but we're gonna do compensation buff nerfs, and they literally upped her damage cap by like 25 to 50% on all her skills, and made her conditionals lower by like 1 charge potency.
Kim Ji-hoon has this habit of overcompensating, huh?
He definitely was sitting there thinking we have to, because he said we were gonna leave it, but if we leave it, we screw up all potential like charge units for Don Quixote. So. We said we're gutting this, but you get compensation buffs. So the compensation buffs really strong. She didn't even need them. I'm not even gonna be honest with you. She did not need them. But she is a very strong ID. I guess it's a personal opinion whether you think she's too simple or not. But I guess that's how the Walpurgis gods are, right? You know, some characters are simple, some others are not. Farm Watch Hong Lu needs to be a real thing. Okay, I'm gonna lean up to the microphone. We don't need Farm Watch. We already have freaking Spice Bush. Farm Watch isn't needed.
I'm googling Farm Watch Honglu A03 to see if there's a reason they're talking this way. I feel like this is someone who is trying to just share one of their favorite OCs.
Yes.
And you know what? Good for you, buddy.
Good for you.
Next.
All right.
Not really a hot take, but I want to be able to see the full animations for things. I don't like it when I'm unable to see the full damage of a skill 3 or ego because the target died. I want a setting that'll just let it play out.
Guess that's fine. Not really a hot take. More so just a suggestion. I guess it did say not a hot take.
I mean, you know what? You covered your bases. You put one in the suggestion box. You know, I've often thought that Limbus Company itself would be better if it had a sandbox mode where you could just set the levels. This is going to be my recurring theme. The levels and upties and whatever have you to whatever you want and just build out a fight. And being able to see animations like this would be a nice little handy thing. I think that's probably not big on their budget or priorities list right now. So you know what? Cool idea.
Would be cool idea. Wouldn't be that bad. But yeah, not really burning the coals here. Oh my good. Okay, possible hot take. Limbus Company is the worst Project Moon game, and it's not even close. Jesus. Okay, out of the fucking frying pan into the literal burning oven. Like,
you know what? I don't want to give props for this. I love the possible hot take question mark
and then the most hottest fucking literal burning like afterwards. It's like when you say not to offend, but you're fucking disgusting. Like, what the fuck do you mean by that?
Like that adds a certain level of smugness, like saying, you know, I thought this was something we all agreed about at first, but someone might disagree. I don't know. Possible a hot take? Am I the asshole?
Am I wrong here, guys? The worst PM. Let me know if I'm wrong here. Completely disagree with this statement. I don't think Limbus is the worst Project Moon game. I don't even think you could say there is a worse Project Moon game because there's only 3 of them.
I mean, I think you just pick your poison.
I do think it's just, you know, what genre do you like?
If you want to enjoy a long scale story that rewards people that just enjoy narrative with some gameplay, cool. You're gonna like Limbus Company. If you want something that's more gameplay focused and gives you a nice story that's like a 50-50 ratio, Library of Ruina. It's right there. It's been there. It's on sale regularly. And then if you want something that's going to be a wholly unique experience that's mostly gameplay and also is going to make you question your understanding of the English language, I don't care. The Cool Kids Club did their best, but there was work to do on all fronts by the original team.
Yeah. First game problems. Plenty of memory issues, fucking laggy systems, translations, and all the while.
I don't think you can just be objective with it.
This is an opinion matter, not really a hot take opinion.
PM handles side characters pretty badly, with them either dying off quickly or not having much relevance outside the lore dump, or just being a boss you fight.
This is 100% related to Kanto 7, I can tell. This smells of Kanto 7.
Does it?
This does. This 100% smells of Kanto 7.
You take the reins here. I've got my thoughts, but I'm curious as to what you're cooking.
I think a lot of people say that Camille and Paula are probably like the most, what do you call it? The side characters that got screwed the most in the in terms of writing for like Project Moon standards, because everyone was like hyping up like there was also oh my god, what was that dude's name? Raynol? Whoever the Fang Hunt leader was. Like, when people saying PM Candles have side characters pretty badly, that's who they're referring to. Because I think they do them pretty fine, to be honest with you. I have no problem with some others. I mean, like, obviously some side characters are gonna get less time than others, fair enough. But then, you know, they're like, are you just ignoring, like, Sampo? He's literally the most favorite side character out of everyone. You got, you know, Saud.
Wait, Sampo?
San, how do I spell his name? Kind of four.
Wait, Sanjo?
Sanjo, yeah, sorry.
Sanjo, yeah.
Sanjo. You know, he's the most beloved, you know, side character in all of Limbus, pretty much. You know, you got Saud, Saudi, how you say her name?
Wait, who?
Saudi? LCCB?
Oh, sorry, I pronounce them very differently, like Sod. Like,
Sod, yeah. It's names.
It's okay, dude.
Like, Virgilius is a side character, technically. You know...
I mean, we do fight him in a way.
We do fight, technically, yeah, we do fight him in a way. But I'm gonna let you have your idea on this, because that's what I'm thinking when I read this.
Okay, I checked him out. Sorry, Romero fans. I found his name again. His name. I knew that was off.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Romero,
so
Camille, Paula.
I had to think about this because they didn't say Limbus handles side characters pretty badly. They said
PM
does.
I mean, that is true. They didn't specify Limbus. Yeah. You are correct.
So, like, I kind of get that they're talking... They might not just be talking about Limbus, but talking about the pattern of we are introduced to character, 30 seconds pass, we fight them, and or they die. Mm-hmm. Or they die and or we fight them, whatever. And I think that is a very real pattern. I do have one question before I finish my take. Mm-hmm. Was this made before or after the ending of Kanto 8?
This was definitely the 9th of July.
Okay, so yeah, definitely after Kanto 8.
This is after Kanto 8.
I feel like the thing about Project Moon is that they will intentionally fall into patterns. Like, side characters having a shelf life that's shorter than grocery store orange juice is a trademark of Project Moon.
Yes.
And I think that one thing Project Moon likes to do is to set up these patterns and then either revel in them or subvert them. So I think what they're accusing Project Moon of doing is correct. I'll give you a half a gold star there. But I don't think that's necessarily an issue for something to be predictable. But even then, they kind of invert it. So I will not blame someone for being tired of it. But I also am not anywhere near tired of it or think that they're like relying on it too much, even if Kanto 7 like has more of it.
I agree, but I also don't see how they would get around it. And then I guess you would say Werner, who is the East brother of the middle, which you don't actually even get an introduction to. He just appears and we're just fighting him. Like, sometimes they don't even introduce the new side characters. They just start speaking and you're thinking, who the f is this guy? And then you're fighting him, which is like, I mean, fair. It's kind of weird to say. Project Moon is a shonen. To say it the least. This is a battle shonen.
I also think this dismisses characters that do live because, like you said, they do kind of deserve it. But I don't always mean that to mean they're great. Like, Alfonso barely did shit. Hopkins barely did shit and everyone hates him. And I
can't wait till we box his ass again. I hope so.
Ooh.
Okay.
Unfocused human fights are more engaging and fun to play through than focused fights. Focused fights tend to just be clash big skill with big skill, while unfocused fights force the player to take unfavorable clashes or tank damage and deal with the consequences. Specifically, later unfocused fights, Kanto 5+.
Fucking mermaids.
I'm thinking over this one. My initial thought is that this is the attitude of a person that went to an ice cream shop and a frozen yogurt shop. And they said the frozen yogurt shop was better because frozen yogurt had sprinkles in it and ice cream didn't. I think there are ways to force the player to take unfavorable clashes and tank damage and deal with the consequences in the focused fights where you have more control in gameplay. Like,
good reference. I think unbreakable coins are that answer.
Yes! Unbreakable coins solved a problem. I don't care what anyone says. I think they're like the mongoose that need to be put in the enclosure.
The thing about unfocused fights is I kind of see where this is coming from. I think it's interesting that there are certain, like, you know, but it's only specific fights, and I can name them on my hand. Number 1, Pequod Town, mermaids. Those fucking monks in Kanto 8.
Yeah, I love doing my daily excavation.
I'm a big fan of. I like them. I like that they're hard. You win the clash and you die still if you're weak to it. They're like, Lamau, I don't care, kill you.
I think they have their place.
Yeah.
But I personally do not see anything that you could add to an unfocused fight 99% of the time that would not be better put in a focused encounter.
Yeah.
With the primary exception being the fight against the sweepers.
Ooh,
because
that is fair.
That is the mosh pit. That is the time where you are not expected to win. Your objective is to survive. When you are running low on resources, that hits so much. I feel like that is one of the times where both thematically and also strategy-wise, you are accepting taking certain hits, but outside of solos, I don't feel it as much.
I think the only other reason that unfocused counters exist is just time. This is a mobile game.
Yes.
It is to play while you're on the go. Envy Peccatum fights are the most fun fights in the game, except the final bosses of Akanto, and I want more. This is a hot take. This is a juicy take. And I completely agree with this. I actually think envy fights are fun. I do think they're fun.
That is like...
I wouldn't say they're the most fun, but I would say they're fun.
I think they're up there. I think they're... I do not blame anyone at all for saying envy P.E.K.K.A fights are the most fun. My personal favorite fights are, like, named character team fights. Yeah. So, like, the Peckwater Bloodfiend trios are a great example. Because it reminds me the most of Library of Ruina, where you're having to break down a team dynamic, and Envy Peccatum fights are, like, the most mirror-matchy version of that.
Yeah.
And I've got respect for anyone that can appreciate them.
No, I completely agree. I think it's the fact that all of a sudden, you are now forced to actually understand what you yourself is capable of. If you see that Kurokomo Ishmael has a lust resin and she's got a skill 3 planned on you, you have to sit there and think, can I, okay, let's see. She has a high stagger bar. Maybe I can stagger her first. Or can I tank the hit? Or, okay, she has a lust resin, so I have to make sure not to, do clashes. Oh, but guess what? Because she has a lust resin, she's activating Kurokomo Heathcliff. Is he using counter? Okay, I have to work around that. It really makes you sit there and think. Where it can get really annoying, and this is fair, is when when I hit you with every single up-type 4 AoE ego in the game, turn 3. That is fair. When they do all of their fucking WoW egos, and all of a sudden, then now the indiscriminate tag doesn't want to fucking target them. Oh no, Binds is all targeting my team. Oh, okay, Kim Ji-hoon. That's fair, but when I corrode Binds, I get 1 fucking hitting of the Epicatula, and the other 7 attack waves hitting my team, dude.
Hey, I'm not opposed to having a taste of my own medicine. The Blood Fiends can fight their own arms for all I care.
Exactly, I do think we want more, and I'm a big fan of essentially Kim Ji-hoon going, oh, you want the OP IDs? Okay, fight the OP ID now. Okay, fight Ring Sang.
The monkeys, every Limbus company update at some point is just another instance of the monkey's paw curling, and I'm here for it.
Like, let's be real. If RR6 happens, please RR6 have it happen. The high show fight, every Peccatum fight is gonna go crazy.
Wait, you're so right about that.
Yeah, because guess what? Want to unoppose him? Lord's Guard. Oh, assist defense. Oh, guess what? High show to me. Answer me, high show pack. I'm getting hit with a fucking 4. I'm getting hit with the 3 skill 3s. He's jumping me. He's getting buffed. Like, it's gonna go crazy.
No, it is. Off topic,
but
I love the idea of one of the Refraction or the RR6 fights being just Lei Hang teaming up with Jashu.
Oh my god, okay. I really do wish they bring back those type of fights again. I really enjoyed RR2 when they had Fairy Gentleman and Fairy Longlegs together in a fight. I was like, that's sick. I was like, can we get more of this?
Ooh, solo mirror dungeon runs for new players are so much easier.
Well, Frey, I think this is actually perfect for you to answer because you've been recently getting into this, haven't you?
I've been digging a bit more. I would not say I'm great by any means, but I'd say I've gotten good. So I'm gonna assume when they say new players, they mean like players that started like in season 6 in comparison to like season 4 or 2.
Yeah, I want to say like just the season before, or I guess at the beginning of the season.
I'm gonna say this is half right. I think that they are easier for people that have knowledge on the game that have started later. But there are also many more pitfalls than before. It was a lot easier in like season 1 or 2 to go like, hey, I've got a foo strategy, I've got an ID, and especially in season 1 when there were only 3 floors, Jesus Christ. And to, power your way through it. Now if it's like season 6, now you've got to make sure, A, are you willing to go to 10 floors or 1 floor? Are you planning out your gifts? Are you planning out your costs and your Starlight bonuses?
Yeah.
Don't you fucking dare decide to take a Kanto 8 pack on floor 5. What the hell are you talking about?
Don't, Lord forbid you even do fucking anything to do with mermaids. Good luck. You're gonna get to the first fight and you're gonna get instantly staggered and die. Because you're gonna get by 7 attacks. So, I guess not towards the game itself, but a lot of Limbus players need to stop having such a superiority complex toward other gacha players. If you're just making them not... If anything, you're just making them not want to play the game. I am not experienced with other gacha type of communities. Frey, maybe you have any opinion on this? Have you, like, seen this much?
I mean, I've only gotten into a second gacha within this month. I tend to not go for other gacha communities. Maybe I'm the problem, because I personally don't want to get into more gacha games, because I'm just going to throw this out there. Most of them are goon fests. And even when I see the stories that are meant to be written well and gameplay that's done well, there's like this style of language that's used in a lot of anime I hear that takes me fully out of it. Like when something's made to be so heavy-handed, so vague, or something that I've seen in a shonen before, I feel like Project Moon has a way of subverting that. And I also acknowledge that part of this is that they're speaking in Korean. So if I heard a dub, like an English dub of PM, I'd probably feel differently.
Oh,
but
I pray that we never get an English DM dub. Please, God. God.
The monkey's paw will one day curl for you too, Kamui. Project Moon fans have been the most approachable they have ever been since Limbus Company.
I do agree with that. I think that's completely... I think you're 100%.
The new League of Nine Literateurs is the least compelling antagonist group PM has ever written.
This is a spicy one. Ooh, this is a spicy one. Okay. This is a well, you know what? I think this is a good thing that you're the one who read this one, because you are like the lore and analysis breakdown person. So you kind of have much more of a wider reference for this. I don't agree with this statement. But maybe you might be like, well, actually, there is some potential to it, you know? Like, oh, well, you know, in reference to this. And
I've got to think about what they mean by least compelling antagonist group. Because are we talking main antagonist group? Like,
I think they are referring it to as the opposite of Limbus Company, the Sinners. So the opposite of us would be Herman, Jihuan, you know, Gubo, the new, I guess Nelly now, like Ahab in the new Literature of Nine.
In comparison to how the Blue Reverberation Ensemble
That's how I thought,
was in
right?
LOR.
That's how I think. Yeah. Is that what they're doing? Because if that is the case, a lot of the Blue Reverberation Ensemble didn't get showed off that much too until the very end. Like, they kind of have very similar... Certain characters obviously got glazed more than others. Pluto, Philip, you know, Tanya.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it...
Yeah.
No, you know what? I think I know where this person is coming from. I think I can kind of see it based on the fact that the new League of Nine Literatures is the most easy to hate.
That is true. They are just a bunch of assholes.
Group.
They are just a bunch of assholes. There's like no redeeming quality in any of them.
Like here's the thing. That you can at least at the end of LOR, the Reverberation Ensemble could have a level of a philosophical discussion, amicable at that, with the librarians. Like, they had some level of ability to talk and deal with other people. Then you've got people who are just dirt, like Ahab, the hater Jawan, the fraud Gubo.
Yeah, and whatever the other dude's name was from Leviathan, I don't remember his name. He should have been kind of six.
Asaya. Asaya's a smart.
He's just in it for the love of the game, bro. He's just in it for the love of the game. You can't tell me otherwise. He's just there for fun, dude. He's like, yeah, guys, I'm just here to fuck around and find out, to be honest with you. You guys do whatever you want.
Like, you know what? You know, in a weird way, they're kind of cooking just because, hey, Limbus is a longer story. So they have a longer room for people to not take the stage when they don't want them to, which means like a group of the new League of Nine, they're going to not be as compelling for a bit. But now that they've had some time with us fighting Gubo and Jawan, most of what we've seen is like, they just kind of suck as people.
They are. Yeah, they kind of suck, and they're not really, like, that competent. now that we've gotten used to them. Like, the whole scene with Gooba and Jaquan fucking running around in the water trying to find the damn worm that chasing the fucking worm. Like, that was just pathetic. Like, that's pathetically funny, right? Like, that's not, you're not supposed to look at them and be like, wow, how cool they are. They managed to, no, they're fucking running around trying to find the dead worm and run out of the temple. I think also this comment stems from the fact that we haven't had many Herman interactions since Kano 1. I think that also might be it. I think the people are yearning for another Herman interaction, like a personalized Herman interaction, not just a reference. Because in Kano 6, we had a really good Herman lore. Like, that was really major, like, and relevant to the, you know, to what the goal of the literature is and what Herman's goal is and what they're actually trying to accomplish with Heathcliff and stuff like that. So it's like, well, with Wild Hunt, I should say, right?
That's true. You know what? That is League of Nine lore at the very least, which does cap in. I think once Roja got her TKT, once Gregor gets his Intervalo and like he's stuck in a room with his mom on the Mother's Day, like 9-2, then we'll have something to talk about.
Maybe, yeah. We'll come back to this when the Intervalo comes out. People complain too much about the Limbus community. It's understandable, not like every member of the community, but some of y'all talking about it like they're the devil incarnates. This is kind of like the other comment, I guess, but in reverse. So instead of Limbus players being superiority, this is Limbus people complain too much. I do think there's a lot of complaining. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think there is a lot of complaining, especially about minor stuff that is like unholy and relevant. But like, what do? You can't. That's a natural occurrence to anything you do, no matter what. You cannot please everyone. You cannot have everyone be in the same room, and there will always be conflicting minds on certain things. Some people think Kano 6 is the best, some people don't like Kano 6, some people say Kano 7 is amazing, some people don't like Kano 7, some people think Project Moon is, they're slacking off on their duties, some people think they're doing really good. You can't really please anyone.
No, yeah, I agree that you're always going to get a variety of... I think that this is a true take, but not for the reasons most people interpret as. I think whenever I hear like people complain too much about the Limbus community, it's like, oh, you're making mountains out of molehills. Oh, don't try to exaggerate people and make them sound like the devil. Like, yes, I think this comes back to the fact that the community, for however long Limbus continues to get more exposure and continues to expand its reach, we are going to continuously have more different kinds of people come in, which means more of these interactions, more opportunities for fallout, and continue this kind of conversation and expand it. The Mirror Dungeon grind is not that bad. I even think it's pretty fun.
I'm biased to this, so I don't think I can say anything about it.
Okay, question on this. When they say the Mirror Dungeon grind, are they talking like doing a weekly hard mode?
I assume they're talking about playing Mirror Dungeon in general.
I think I'm looking at this person and I'm seeing them eat like a quarter pounder with cheese and saying, it's not even that bad. I actually think the clown made a pretty good sandwich. And it's
this clown, he can kind of cook. He can kind of cook, this clown.
I can understand there being reasons to critique it and like want additional game modes or like additional like quirks in the Mirror Dungeon or even the ability to customize it more, which we kind of have with Starlight, not quite.
We're getting every iteration, and this is another theme, I guess, kind of relevant to the topic. Every iteration of a mechanic or something introduced from Limbus Company is getting better as the seasons go by. I think Mirror Dungeon is the best it's ever been in terms of like content, of variety, and replayability.
I agree with you on that. I guess for me, it's just like, it's something I do every week.
Yeah.
And I have very few opinions otherwise.
I think the fact... Okay, here's the thing. I think the fact that you can essentially only have to do one a week really helps. Bosses should not be nerfed. Agreed. Simple. I think I have no flat answer to that. I think I agree.
My initial thought is to agree, but I'm thinking.
Let me reiterate my statement then. How about this? They should not be nerfed for at least the first week or two, and then see how it goes after that.
I'm down for that.
Because
100% down for that.
Because I like the time. This is a personal issue. The time I do the Kanto, it's already like 8 hours past the official because you do it on patch day. You do it on the day it gets patched. Right? Obviously, I'm watching, right? So when you play stuff, you do it on patch.
That night.
Yeah, mostly, right? And I do it 10 hours later. So by the time it gets to my turn, there's a freaking emergency patch, and the boss is getting there. And I want to play the original one, man.
No, you're right. I would say a week out is good.
Yeah.
Even
4 days, man. Even half a week, I'll take it.
I can understand as a business owner,
Yeah.
that sometimes you will need to do something that a part of your fan base doesn't like in order to make it more absorbable for the rest. Which is why I'm kind of for them making bosses where if you pay lunacy, you can retry.
That is definitely a thing. Also, I do feel like we should note that the Lei Heng situation was the first time where ProjectMoon came out and were like, okay, we want your opinion on this fight. What do you think we should do? What do you think is an acceptable, thing? And they they did 2 surveys, one before and one after the nerf, and they came out and they said, okay, this is what we've done for the nerf from this scheduled amount of people, and this is what we're gonna do about it. I think that's good. That's great. More of that. I'm perfectly fine with that. However, I do think there's an issue with letting the community decide what they think is balanced or not, because the problem is Limbus Company is balanced as long as you understand how to play the game. If you were going into the Lei Heng fight, guess what? 99% of people who I know went to that Lei Heng fight did not know that if you inflicted bind on him, you completely negate his damage gimmick. The core major mechanic that you need to do the damn fight! That was right there!
So, I think in essence, I will ultimately disagree with this take, just because there are instances where it is a good thing to nerf a boss, but on the other hand, PM is still on the far side where they nerf way too haphazardly.
Yeah, or too quickly.
Like, keep working on it. Rupture is getting and has gotten an overwhelming amount of content. We'll have at least gotten 7 IDs this season. It being Rupture season is not an excuse. No other status got this much. That makes it a bad decision to run any other status. Nowadays, every ID is almost entirely count neutral, which makes Rupture win rateable. A status as powerful as Rupture should not be for people. So to this post credit, when I was looking into like the different statuses for a past video, I did find that 1 in every about 4 IDs has a Rupture mechanic. I do think it's safe to say that they've gotten an overwhelming amount of content. The question is, has that content been good? It was okay.
I'd say it was okay.
I'll give that.
It was okay. I think once Deviat came out, it was okay. I think it was viable once Deviat came out.
I think Deviat was a game changer in a better way. Yeah, like the first instance of the 15-3 rule, you know what? That was pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we won't talk about the other 15-3s, but we'll talk about that one at least. While you have a think, I'm going to say this right now. This sentence is a bit, how you going? Because the question part where it says, it being Rupture season is not an excuse, no other status has gotten this much. Yes, they have. Kano 7 was all bleed IDs. Kano 6 was all sinking IDs. Obviously not all of them. There was like a majority. It was like 70% majority. And the part where it's like, everything being count neutral. Are you talking strictly the Maos? Because the C branch are not neutral. They're like negative neutral. Z-Tune's negative neutral. Honglu is negative neutral. There's a lot of the Rupture characters, they're still kind of gotta work for it. Obviously, you don't gotta work for it as hard if you use all 3 Maos. Like, ignore Mao Faust. Jesus Christ. But that's a whole different argument, right? That's
another convo.
That's a whole nother thing. That's like, fuck the Rupture count. I'm just gonna kill you, right? That's kind of the mentality of the Rupture IDs nowadays, to be honest with you. It's, fuck the Rupture. I'm just gonna kill you myself, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And I kind of like that. It's kind of turned into more of a side accessory, but not every ID is like that, obviously, right? So, I don't know. I don't really think that. Also, the part here where it says, where is that? It is bad decision to run any other status. No, some characters are, what if you're fighting someone who's slash resistant and gluttony resistant? I don't think running Rupture is a good idea. Like,
no.
The true damage is going to get them, dude. No, just run the weakness, the other team,
Yeah, here's the deal. That part is the one part I can easily say I disagree with.
Yeah.
And it's not even just because of if you want to win. If you want to win Limbus, you can do that with just about any of the 7 strats.
Yes.
This fundamentally
mentality needs to stop. This mentality needs to stop. You're absolutely correct.
No, I'm fucking pushing up my nerd emoji glasses on this. This fundamentally posits
Yes.
that you have to run certain teams
Yeah.
in order to make this work. Yes, you do need team synergy. Yes, later seasons are going to be buffed to an extent where earlier seasons aren't going to work.
Yeah.
But between the 7 strats, you still have a means to win these in nearly every fight with your choice of playstyle. The concern here, when it comes to Limbus, is that the fights in general can be too easy.
Not sure exactly a hot take this is, or if it's blatantly wrong. Do call me on my BS. Well, at least you've set the boundary there. But I think that Limbus' story, like the Mirror Dungeon and Walpurgis, should be given a hard mode. Okay, I mean, fair enough. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
No discussion.
No, yeah.
I agree.
I agree.
Nerfs for IDs and egos aren't a bad thing. We're at the point where any new ID or ego needs to be busted and or have something extremely special about them to be worth even considering in a team, and anything that falls short is bad. Malphau should have never shipped as is, just like Ringsong before her. If we need new things to be able to beat everything through win rate, make you breakfast and do your homework for you, then PM should reevaluate their entire design philosophy for modern content. Now feels like a good time for me to mention, I usually wait until the end of the season to get my seasonal IDs.
Really?
Except for Walpurgis Night.
Yeah.
And Ego, yeah. Except for Walpurgis Night and I guess the Arknights deal. Like, I find it more important to get these before they're like season blocked. I feel like the most economical way for me to do that is to just try and go for the other stuff that's even more blocked first, like Walp, and then if I happen into anything else, it's nice, and then I can just focus it later. But the reason I say that is because I don't have really any of the Haste show from season 6 outside of Roja and Gregor, and I think those might be the only season 6 IDs I have right now.
Wow, really?
I don't know a ton about experiencing the IDs and egos that have been released. However, I can say that this is not a new sentiment. That is intentional, but not like not just in the marketing way, because it's always going to be intentional in the marketing way. I think Limbus does it less in the marketing way than others, but I think that's a part of the intended experience through the plot as well.
Yeah.
I will say, characters like Mao Faust, there is a key difference to them in that they can be OP while you win rate.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? They are OP while you win rate.
The issue here is that it's a bad business decision.
Correct.
Because it brings a lot of unwanted negative attention.
Yeah.
It makes them lose resources.
Yeah.
And it just
no
makes
one's happy with any
like
decision they make, so they might as well not make a fucking decision at all.
So I guess this is a hot take because I agree with them to an extent on the issue, but I also don't think the issue is as quite prevalent as they're making it out to be.
Yeah.
Or that they're saying that this solution is cost-free for things that matter.
For instance, I'm going to give you an example for this, and then we'll move on. Yeah. Do you think Ring Sang is still as problematic as he is than when he first came out?
No.
Exactly. And I think that answers the question here.
Yuri didn't have enough screen time and relevance for her death to mean much!
I mean, she literally got all the content, no? She literally got the whole content to herself, no?
So you ever seen Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Yes, I have.
So Shao Tucker.
I guess spoilers for Full Metal Alchemist, I guess.
I feel like I've made my case to most of the people I need them to, but there is this thing called a tutorial or a primer or exposition in writing, where I would say that for people that are using Limbus as an entry point to ProjectMoon,
congratulations and welcome to Limbus Company.
Exactly, and have people that are. This also kind of falls in line with the fellow that was saying like side characters die way too often.
Yeah,
like and have people understand that no one is guaranteed just because they look like conventionally anime prettier design.
Or they get a lot of screen time.
Or that they have screen time, or that there's this little sign that maybe they'll join the company, or they're likable. It sets the precedent that you are meant to have your heart torn out, and you are never going to forget your first time with that.
Yeah.
I think this is along the lines of saying, Lovetown didn't have enough screen time for it to impact people as much.
I also think that this not only are you correct with it, like sets it up, but the effects of this are still today. I'm sure you're aware how many Z-tuned doubters there were during Kanto 8. Holy fuck, I was praying Zichun. I was like, please live Zichun. I would be devastated. Everyone's like, nah, she's dying, she's not living, she's gonna die. And people couldn't decide, like, they were still traumatized by Yuri. They were like, this character's been on screen too long. She's too important to Hong Lu. It's you know, she's gonna become Jiren, and then she's gonna get the worm, and it's like, oh, we're fucked. And no,
I was a diehard Jichun doubter. I was looking at the IDs that came out. I was looking at the patterns from past Kantos, and nah, that was a huge L I took. That was like a big, full-chested theory I was throwing out, which felt so obvious at the time. I'll take the L.
No,
but
fair.
You're right.
Yeah.
You know, you are right, though, in that having deaths like this be set up as normal, as a precedent, and then having people understand that as a pattern in the story as it goes on, it does make an impact. It does affect how you are trying to theme your story. And I think that is what made Kanto 8, like the U-turn on that, be as impactful as it was.
Agreed. Also, the fact that her death wasn't even exaggerated, it was just, yeah, she just dies. Yeah, she goes to the skill check and dies. Everyone's like, what?
No, actually, you know what? When I saw it at first, I was pissed that we didn't even get to see her die.
Nope.
It's just mentioned in a text box,
just a
not
text
even
box.
in a cutscene.
And you know what? I think
midway
that's
through the
actually
fight.
intentional, because you know why? It doesn't glorify her death.
That's true.
She just dies. Welcome to fucking the city. You can just die. That's it. Like, you don't get this grand fucking amazing death where she sacrifices herself. No, she just fucking did a stupid thing and died. And we just have to move on.
So Yuri is dead. Please hit win rate again.
Yeah, so Yuri's dead. What? Like, and I think that does, as you said, come back to that side character thing where we expect these side characters to be anything more than just a way to progress the story. Camille should have been a far more important character in Kanto 7 than he was, since he was given a whole duel and diametrically opposed viewpoints on what being a fixer is. He would have been a sick foil for Dawn during Part 2, and his and Paula's deaths are very lame consequences of Project Moon's reliance on side character death to illustrate stakes. He had a completely unique character style and design. His and Paula's mission were completely unexplored, and his death was anticlimactic, and basically off-screen. There was nothing interesting about what they did to him when there was so much they could have done. I guess also add Romero into that as well, because he technically is part of the plot. This is the one
I want to hear your thoughts.
that gets people onto this Project Moon doesn't handle side characters well. This is the single reason why this argument exists, I feel like. It's because of what happened with Camille and Paula and Romero. How they were, I guess, hyped. I guess Camille in specific, because I guess Paula wasn't really, she was just there. She wasn't really... It was more Camille, because he got the duel and everything. Where Camille is this foil to Don Quixote. And then we just never really see him until he becomes, 400... He gets corroded, right? He gets corroded by the ego. I don't know, man. I really don't know if I agree with, or if I think maybe... Because Kanto 7, I think, had some production issues, maybe, so maybe that was it. They had some production issues, maybe. I think so. I don't remember. They always have production. The thing is, they always have production issues. I can't even tell what is a production issue or what isn't a production issue anymore.
The production itself is an issue in every studio ever.
Yeah,
exactly. That's just the fact of the matter.
Right? So I don't know if maybe they were cut for time, or if maybe it wasn't, they didn't get to fully realize it. I feel like the intro part with I kind of feel like the whole part was explored at the beginning, where during the whole debate, and the duel, was like, Don Coda's like, oh, so you guys are gonna come and rescue everyone. They're like, no, we're just gonna do our mission.
This, just due to the format of this hot takes survey, it is not possible to have the kind of discussion that this topic needs.
Yeah.
But I will firmly put this in the please cook more category. Because I think there's potential to this idea. When it comes to saying this should have happened in the story, dependent on XYZ, it's kind of like you said, a part of it you have to factor in, well, was production a part of it? Or what are we sacrificing in terms of pacing in the story or another element of the story in order to make this happen? It's a lot of literary Tetris that you have to move around, but I don't want to use that as an excuse to say, it's not worth trying to make it better. Because I think Kamui being a rival to Don Quixote would have gone so hard.
No, I do think it could have definitely been potentially explored more, 100%. I feel like if it was a less popular side, like Romero. See how Romero isn't even in this? I feel like Romero was actually going to be more important than he was. No, he just talks shit and he got hit. That's pretty it. I
think Romero, now that I'm seeing it out loud, like now that I'm seeing it laid out before me, I can understand. I don't agree, but I
Yeah.
understand what the arguments people are
Yes,
making
I agree.
about like Kanto 7 and like character
And their
murphing.
side characters.
I think like Romero kind of teed himself up for it. It was funny. It was like, yes,
He was he was glazing. Like I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
you're getting cooked.
Yeah, he was glazing himself. That was like a little funny bit.
Yeah.
It would have been nice if they leaned into it more, sure, but I think that did the job it needed to.
Mhm.
The idea that I'm really liking, that I'm thinking of now, what if they swapped Kamui and Romero's places in the story? Like, they made it so that Kamui was more involved in part 2, and you would eventually just see him fuck up after like being so smarmy and also having some signs of things going well for him.
Yeah, because he gets betrayed.
maybe-
I think Romero gets like betrayed in the fight, and then I think he gets like surrounded by the blood fiends and just gets blood bagged. I think
Does
it
he
was by
get
Barb.
betrayed? I
Yeah.
thought he just got in over his head. Oh, you were right. No, you were right.
Yeah.
The other fixer who was assigned to the same area as us stabbed us in the back
Yeah.
and doomed us all. Was that Kamui?
No, that was the other dude that was there.
Wait.
Yeah, there was multiple, because there was that one dude that Ryoshu killed. He was the guy with us. That was the funny comedic guy. And he also was going to betray us, but Ryoshu killed him. And then there was another group with Romero, and he got betrayed by that group, and then he got left on his own, surrounded by the blood fiends, and then he got turned into a blood bag. I'm fucking like 85% positive I'm right on that, but I might be wrong.
Oh, okay. He definitely ended up betrayed. But
Yeah.
I don't see anyone else who could have betrayed him other than Kamui, which is actually really funny.
So
now
that could
I'm
have been
seeing it.
funny. There you go. That could have been it.
I find the direction new IDs are going in very interesting, and yeah, I mean the busted ones and the horrendous ones. We need more Ring Sangs. We need more Malfaust, maybe without the 10 resource S3 too. We need more Caposos. These IDs are extremely unique and do a lot for their gimmicks.
I think you are getting these, to be fair with you. I think these are coming out more often.
Yeah, I mean, I think the forks are in the kitchen, man.
Yeah, I think you're getting it.
I guess they're trying to say that Ring Song and Malfaust is one of the horrendous ones, because I don't think we tend to hear... Because when I hear horrendous in this context, I think
you think like,
broken.
okay, you don't think bad. That's what I think of when I hear horrendous. I think bad. So I'm thinking like, huh?
I think horrendous is being used as like scale now rather than being negative.
Okay. Slosh Mail is not a bad ID.
Let's go!
Now we're back to some hot takes. So here's the thing about Slosh Mail, and I'm going to say it right here. She pays the way for Lantern Yisang.
Yes.
Lantern Yisang is pretty much the better Slosh Mail. And I think if Slosh Mail gets up to 5 and it turns her into Lantern Yisang, if it gives her unbreakable coins, you know what? Fair enough. She will not be a bad ID.
I will say right now, Slosh Mail is a bad ID because she's a Season 2 ID. The pool was so much smaller that it was a lot easier to find a role for a lot of things.
Yes.
And I think you had to intentionally say, hey, this is what you're meant for.
Yeah.
I think if you are saying Slosh Mail was always a bad ID, you are not creative or you are focused on big numbers. I think that getting XP tickets from Luxes right now is such a chore. From my research, you need to use 210 modules without skipping to have at least 7 sinners, an entire team now to be at least level 50, 30 per identity again without skipping day 1 or privilege.
Yeah, you have day 1 privilege. We actually did a good variety because you were day 1 and I joined on Miracle District 20. So that was like a month or 2 before season end. So we have like
I am so sorry.
No, I love Miracle District 20.
I feel like you're right and you shouldn't be afraid to say it. It is a chore.
My hot take. Unbreakable coins were a mistake. There is genuinely no reason for them to exist. If I win a clash, I win it at that point. Make the attack unclashable. Completely, entirely, wholeheartedly disagree with this statement. I'm sorry.
No.
Unbreakable
Hard disagree.
ones are amazing.
This implies that winning a clash and getting big number should just remove you from consequences. And honestly, I feel like the people that have said this probably have not played any of the other ProjectMoon games.
Call out post by Frey Cheqama.
I would like to see these people play Lobotomy Corporation and then realize that getting a good result makes the abnormality escape.
Lord forbid playing Library of Ruina.
I don't know what I want to say, man. Like, I guess chill, but I have an entire topic on this in one of my videos talking about how Limbus Company is like terribly flawed.
Yeah.
Which promotes unbreakable coins, because if you say it like this means that winning clashes is all Limbus becomes about.
Yeah.
I understand saying making attacks unclashable is good,
Yeah.
but after a point, I think you're just saying that because you've
hard.
already seen unclashable
Yeah.
moves. I think it also promotes this idea that as time goes on in Limbus, you would really need to work for active regeneration
Yeah.
and making it so that your team stays alive and you're not using your backup units.
Yeah.
I think unbreakable coins are good for promoting that. And if we didn't have them, then again, it would just come down to a basic numbers game where if you do better in the clash, you
Nothing
auto
ever.
win.
Yeah. Nothing ever happens in the fight. You just stand. You just win.
Yeah.
I think there is a market for both unbreakable coins that, you know, have these effects, and then unbreakable coins where, oh, I'm sorry, did you win the 6-coin unbreakable clash? That sounds like a you issue. Perfected Tiger / Fury of Blades.
Yeah, I mean, in Lei Hei's defense, or I guess Queen Knight of Despair's defense,
Yeah.
that was a 1-attack weight hit.
That is a
did,
1
like,
attack
6
weight, and
damage.
it is a gimmick, and also she does roll really high, so it's not like she doesn't roll high. She does roll high. You do have to, you know,
I guess.
ego with it. It's and if you get hit by it, you're gonna feel it.
I mean, okay, here's the thing about it.
Yeah.
But then why make it unbreakable?
Exactly, right? Probably to
Like,
show
I
off
feel
the
like
funny
it's-
animation, because that's the whole point, right? They're supposed to show off animations.
You know what that might actually be? It is a wall. They do want to aura farm a little bit.
I think that's literally, I think to be honest with you, when Keeper Hoon says unbreakable coins exist purely just to show off the animations, I think the introduction to unbreakable coins have made the fights look better. Because now people are swinging left and they're swinging right, and, you know, you're seeing animations that you normally wouldn't ever see because you're supposed to win. So you're rewarded for winning because you get, you know, you win the clash, and then you also get the visual pleasure of actually seeing the animation.
I think Limbus needs a JP dub and EN dub. I think a lot of things would be nice to have.
I'm gonna say it a lot less nicer. I don't think it would be good.
I think if you're the kind of person that does not agree with ProjectMoon having like 100 employees quickly, you're also on board with them not rushing into a JP and English dub.
You know, you actually make a valid argument. People, you know what? I actually didn't realize that until now. The amount of things that they probably outsource in terms of employing probably outweighs their company name itself, like in terms of members. Like, they might have 50 members of Project Moon, but if you include all the voice, like, surely not every project, like, voice actor works at Project Moon. They're probably just offshore. Like,
oh god.
So, like, that's like another 20 people plus on top of that. And then also don't forget Studio I'm, so that's another like 20 people plus on top of that. They really are working with over 100 people. It's just not in their own company.
Exactly, which is why I wanted to do an entire essay on this as well.
Oh, well, there we go.
Or at least part of it that went on production that just said, like, hey, outsourcing isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, no.
Like, we hear about horror stories with it.
Oh,
sometimes it's good. In Project Moon's case, it's actually gone pretty well, and they could use that as like
Except
a middle
for LobCorp,
ground.
but we'll forget about LobCorp.
Well, look, that's just like the dubbing issues.
Yeah.
There was a translation issue as well. But like, yeah, no, they're already doing it. The voice of Gregor is fucking Korean Mr. Krabs, man.
That's so peak.
Like,
It's so peak.
yeah. But no, like, I'm not opposed to the concept of this. I just think it is super low priority in execution. VoV ego shouldn't look like Alef's. They're setting the bar so high with these newer VoVs, Crush Mounted Arcana, and Alef's already have extremely high expectations, so lowering them a bit would be better and making more of a clear distinction later on. I think this is pessimistic.
Yeah, I think the WoWs are perfectly fine. I don't really see a problem with them.
I think it's fine to have... Personally, I feel VoVs in LobCorp had a decent step above them than the others below them. And I think Alefs are a significant step up above that. So I would need to be much more convinced that we are nearing the ceiling.
I think that Kana 1 and 2 are great tone setters and not as bad as people say. Agreed. Kana 2 gets a lot of hate for really no reason because it's a starter. It came out with the game started.
I will say that Kanto 2... I will not fault you for saying Kanto 2 is the worst one.
Agreed.
That just means that it's meant to be a part of a larger whole.
At least I'm praying that it is part of a... I mean, no, TKT pretty much confirmed that it's part of a larger whole. It's... Before TKT, I could argue the fact that's like, oh, is Roger actually going to get any more development? And then TKT happened to go, okay, yeah, no, we're pretty confirmed that Roger's going to get something extra.
No, Kanto 2 and TKT are going to be so valuable when we get to Purgatorio.
Yeah.
That sounds like a joke.
No,
that is not.
It's literally, no, I love that. I think it's like, just wait 5 years, guys, okay? Just wait 5 years for the Rojo. It's going to be fucking amazing, okay?
Okay. No, here's the thing about that, though. I unironically believe that
I do.
Roja, more
I
than
agree.
any other sinner, is the slow burn sinner. Specifically because she is burning and she doesn't know it, and she is slowly but surely getting there. And holy shit, the fact that they took a Kanto that was meant to be the middle child of season 1 and are able to use it for that purpose, nah. I'm not gonna blame people for saying it's not that deep. It's not bad either. Having the chance for sinners to roll heads be capped at 95% is bad game design. The possibility of a funny 5% moment doesn't change the way you strategize, it just punishes you for no reason when it happens. Being at 45 SP should guarantee heads rolls.
Ooh. This is another hot one. This is a spicy one.
So when I played Limbus, I wasn't sure I was going to get into it. After I finished season 1, I basically dropped it and moved on to something else. When we get over to the rest of it, I'm going to give the obligatory, this sounds like someone that never played LogCorp or LOR, because managing through odds, if you had to deal with getting like anywhere between a 4-7 on certain dice, or just deal with the chances with that, I think it kind of lines into that. And I don't think that a 5% is going to ruin you. Again, unless you're like soloing.
Yeah. Here's my thought on this. And it's great that this is mentioned up. Library of Ruina is a fucking amazing game. That was the first ProjectMoon game I ever played. I beat it. I had over 100 hours. It took me 100 hours to beat it. I would gladly take Limbus combat over fucking Library of Ruina dice roll. It's so... People who... Sometimes when people glaze Library of Ruina dice rolls, I feel like, did you guys play Library of Ruina? Because the dice rolls are the most frustrating fucking thing ever. Instead of having a 95 or whatever chance, I have to gamble between fucking powers and all that shit. It's like, oh, this is between 1 to 25. Bro, are you kidding me? And then you have like all the power reducers, like realizations for me in Library of Ruina, absolutely amazing. Probably the most stressful fucking experience I've ever had in a video game, right? Every single one. Now, I would gladly accept a 1 hour fight in Library of Ruina does not equal a 1 hour fight in Limbus. A 1 hour fight in Library of Ruina is like 12 hours.
No, you're right. The fights in OR are a lot longer on average.
You know? And then I would, if I lose an hour fight in Library, I'm crashing out. If I lose a 1 hour fight in Limbus, I'm like, okay, I'm much better. It's way simpler, right?
Okay, but hear me out.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's great. I love playing the Red Mist and hitting a 49 on my greatest split horizontal and wiping the entire enemy team out. But like, you know, it is certainly one of those things where it's nostalgic to remember about it, and then you actually go back and play it, because I play through Library every so often, right? Like I go back like on streams and stuff and play Library. It gets stressful, man. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy, man.
I mean, I agree. I agree to an extent. I feel like there are two aspects to this. One of them is the, I remember marching my way to the library up both ways in the snow. And like, it's true. A Library of Ruina fight on average is longer than a Limbus fight by eons. You could have a 3-hour boss fight in Library of Ruina that is difficult to deal with if you haven't beaten it for the first time.
And don't fuck up a single mechanic. You better not lose, because you'll just snowball into defeat if you don't fucking retaliate on that. And there's their 3-hour fight. Reset, bitch.
Which is my way of saying, and I'm not going to say this is unjustified, but it's true that Limbus Company players, by comparison, are weak.
Oh, 100%.
Because like a 30-minute fight to a Limbus player, again, ProjectMoon is trying to get a new audience. They want something that is bigger in scale and have different priorities. I get that. But that is not... The 30-minute fight in Limbus is going to be seen as a much more evil issue. And the other side of this coin is that I think we need to acknowledge how harmful to gameplay it would be for a player to know that their coin is always going to land on heads at max SP. I'll even go as far and say this mechanic's fine, and if you could look into gameplay mechanic talk, like shit about Fire Emblem and how it masks percentages, like that's an entire other reason I feel this is fine.
I think they should lock some IDs behind story. Like the obvious bad end IDs, and just IDs that are very story prominent. It's kind of baffling that they still don't at the very minimum lock Uptie story, but because Uptie stories like Manager Dawn, Wild Hunt, and Withering Butlers give some very important information that you shouldn't know by Kano 1. Here's what I'm going to say to this. If this was not a gacha game, you are correct. Unfortunately, money.
I agree generally. I think they did add in a spoiler warning for some of the ID Uptie stories. I could be wrong, but
I'm not actually sure because we're up to date, right? So we can't. We can't tell.
I don't know.
I do know there's a spoiler warning in the season pass.
I would actually pose an idea. Something that I've thought of is that you know how there's this new manager banner that you can pull on? That one thing that would help out with this is that whenever you beat a Kanto, you get another one of those like limited pull banners that are per season and discounted.
Ooh.
That would, yeah, like rather than locking those IDs behind them, and I know there's going to be some thoughts about, well, you're just kind of wasting money on that, et cetera, et cetera. Like, if for collectors or people that want a specific ID, they're going to have their reasons.
Yeah.
And if you want to go through the game at a more reasonable pace, or even just try going through with just 1 or 2 different IDs that you get. I don't know if this is a hot take, but PM desperately needs to have beta testers for the new IDs in Ego. I don't mean internal ones, because I do think they have those, probably, but external volunteers who can give a player's opinion, looking at Mal Faust.
Frey, wouldn't it be awesome to have a creator program where we can test the new IDs 1 week before they come out? Also, I'm just saying, hey, Kim Jae-hoon, if you're listening, I'm just saying, if you want to do a creator program with Limbus Company, we're right here.
I was going to talk about some reservations I had, but when you put it that way...
yeah, well, actually... No, go ahead.
No, but like, I guess... Again, I think in concept that's good. My question would just be an execution, just because beta testing, as far as I understand, isn't typically done with live service games to volunteers that are outside the community. And if it is, it's done for like maybe shooters. Like if I think maybe Destiny does this. I haven't played it.
Maybe.
But I did edit for a creator there, and I believe they were willing to do like open betas just to make sure everything was balanced, but doing it for new units individually, like drops that come out every
how would you do that? Would you have to make a whole new like server for just that, or like, how do you prevent leaking and stuff? It's weird.
Yeah, and how would you vet people for this? Like, how would you get people? I feel like this is the most like boring answer to it, but it's true. Like the issue comes in the production. Like, would they have to delay IDs to come out like once every 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah,
that they would need some oversight, or 3 weeks or 4 weeks rather, because it would need some oversight. Would they push everything back? How would they know that these are good beta testers?
Yeah,
like I think it's a nice idea that works in a perfect world.
As much as I hate the artifact system in games, I gotta admit that Limbus needs something to make it more engaging. If not an artifact system, maybe farming stages for more materials like Arknights. Please do not add fucking artifacts to Limbus Company. Please, God, do not add artifacts to Limbus Company.
What are artifacts?
You ever play like Hoyo stuff? So
God, no.
Okay, I'll give you an example. So imagine you have a character. Say we have like Don Quixote as an example. And now Don Quixote is she has external accessories that you can equip onto her that are like gear sets. And all the gear sets have like the same type of like piece system where it's like, oh, if you put 2 of these pieces of set on, you get like a 14% damage bonus, but there's extra bonus stats, like it comes with 25% extra HP or -3 speed or whatever, right? And it's kind of like an RNG system. So you're always fishing for like critical rate, you're fishing for like damage on like a certain character, like, oh, this character prefers to have attack, this character prefers max HP.
Yeah, that's some T-Corp thinking. I don't want that.
No. Now, the thing, it's like grinding materials. I'm pretty sure Kim Jae-hoon has mentioned that he was thinking about adding thread and like XP tickets to Mirror Dungeon, but that was like a year and a half ago. I'm not sure if they're still doing that or not.
I think that was the achievement system is how they ended up implementing it.
I think the achievement system is a good way to do it. Unfortunately, this is a gacha game, and if you are not incentivized to pay for gacha-like elements like XP tickets and thread, they probably would not make as much money.
I think this is the take I most disagree with and am baffled by. The gacha part of the game is fine. The real roadblock is the gacha-like elements outside of the gacha. So you're saying that it's not the gambling that makes it bad, It's the random chance mechanics.
I think what they're referring to is not that. I think is what they're referring to. They are referring to the energy system, the Enconfallen system, the XP grinding, and the thread grinding. I think that's what they're referring to.
Oh, I see.
And when you think of it like that, actually, a lot of people are typically bottlenecked by stuff like XP, thread, energy. You can't play, you can't just play whenever you want. You can only play when you have a certain amount of energy to do stuff like story. I kind of see where this argument is coming from. The most gacha problematic part is probably the fact that you have to do everything but pulling.
I feel like this is a person that's saying that they would enjoy exercise more, they would enjoy exercise more, and they don't take an issue with exercise because they get tired. They just don't enjoy exercise because they have to take the time to get tired. Like, to me, this feels like Adam Sandler's click mentality. Like, I'm just feeling like I don't understand how you have a functioning gacha system that encourages people to pay without the other stuff.
Exactly.
And the other stuff makes it sucky. I get it.
It does help. That is kind of the problem. But that's like a gacha issue, not really a Limbus issue. Pre-nerf Talisman was not OP. Incorrect. Pre-Talisman Sinclair should have been shot dead the day he came out.
I agree.
Strictly on a support passive.
Yeah, strictly on the support passive. I do think that the support passive and Talisman itself could have been kept a little closer to where they were and like allow Talisman to like keep stacking up and doing more damage as the status itself. Because I believe that they removed that part as well.
Yeah, the entire Talisman is reworked. Now, my copium is that the reason that they nerfed it, they completely gutted the Talisman passive, is my copium, is the Jupan ID that's going to come out toward the end of the season, where it uses the new Talisman effect as a 3-star, right? And that's why they reworked it, not because they didn't want to make a new Talisman effect, so they're just like, all right, look, we're going to prepare by giving this to the old effect and then making a new ID with the same Talisman effect.
My fucking trashy Danganronpa heart just really wants to see more Jupan too. Like that guy.
He really is kind of like a Danganronpa-esque character, isn't he?
Dude, have you seen this expression? That
he does.
Shit
he kind of does. Now that you've mentioned it, I hate that you've mentioned it because now I 100% fucking understand what you mean. I 100% see it now.
Uptype 5 should be a buff to the old dysfunctional failed units, Suncliff, Barbarotis, Kirkama, Rodion, etc., and not for everyone, and also an extreme base ID buff through this method. Also, finishing a Sinner's Kanto should UT4 their base ego, but whatever.
There are some things I agree with this. There are some things I do not agree with this.
Okay, you know what? Let's do something.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the Sinner's Kanto UT4 part, and just count of 3, we say whether we agree or disagree at the same time, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3, agree.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Pretty logical. Yeah. Fair enough.
I don't think PM would lose too much on that, and I think that'd be really fun for story. I don't know how I feel about the Uptype 5 idea, just specifically being for certain IDs.
So here's my logic behind it. When people have asked me what my opinion on Uptype 5 is, I've said this. I said, first of all, Uptype 5 for ego, fair enough. But they have to make the cost different. So if it's going to cost me 250 thread to Uptype 5 and ego, fuck that. That's a whole character I could uptie, right? But if they're going to make it cheaper, different story. But for Uptype 5 units, I think, here's how I should say, season 1 to 2 units should probably get an Uptype 5 first. And they should segment it. Like, I don't think they should do it all at once. So I think that. They should, maybe during season 10 or season 9, okay, there's a, like, instead of a Bokgak that, would come out, or maybe in between a Bokgak, here is the season 1 Uptype 5s. It's only the season 1 characters. We're not doing the season 2. And then next time it's season 2. And then I honestly personally don't think, really, past season 3, you don't need Uptype 5. I don't think season 3 plus Uptype 5 you need it, really.
So you're kind of agreeing with this, though.
Kind of, but I don't agree with who they are saying is failed units. Example, Barbarotis or Kuroko Marodian.
I see Barbarotis in there. That is an outlier. That is just a cap.
Suncliff, okay, fair enough. I could see something related to Suncliff, but I feel like Suncliff's issue is more so just his SP, not actually his roles, genuinely.
I think by the time they do Bokgaks of Kantos 1, 2, and 3, we might be at a power level where it's warranted. That's just, I do think if we're going to do Uptype 5, then yes, it is better to do that. I don't know how in the world they made Uptype 4 and made it with all of the IDs at the time. I mean, I guess that was all season 1. At the time, that was all season 1, so that's That's different. I don't know how they're gonna do Uptie 5 all at once for over 150 IDs.
I don't think they can. I think Uptie 4 just stick to Uptie 4 and make Uptie 5 be a special thing for just season 1 to 2 to keep up with it. PM should buff IDs that are not well designed or have fallen off in terms of power and mechanics. Not asking for anything crazy, just some defense buff to make it worthwhile to bring them on your lineup. Okay, this is pretty much the same as the last one we talked about. Do you think characters that are old should be buffed, or do you think they should have like some sort of Uptie gimmick to them?
I don't care, man.
I don't care. I just want to use the funny ID.
I got my time with Slosh Mail. I got my time using friggin' Talisman Sinclair in the field. Like, I feel like that would add a lot of lore implications, because we gotta remember that Project Moon also is doing its best to make sure that the different materials that are used in Limbus also are lore relevant.
Yeah, not only are you absolutely correct on that, so not only is every single ticket, every single thread uptight, they're all lore, but also like the fact that they are weak is supposed to be on purpose at the time era. I think a lot of people frame this as like a new player issue, but dude, I've seen some new player inventories, bro. I've seen a new player get all the high show in a single pull and 10 pull. I think they're good. That's it. You're good.
KJH should revert Glimpse and Thrill nerf. I feel like you are... This is... Okay, I don't know if I have just been here for too long, or if I'm just seeing, like, things that feel like nothing complaints. This is making a mountain out of a molehill.
This is a mountain out of a molehill.
Why? Who cares?
Okay, it takes you 2 turns to one-shot the level 10 boss now instead of 1.
Is this for the 100,000 challenge? Like, okay, for that one, to be fair, you already really wanted to have...
Glimpse didn't count.
Oh yeah, you're right. That didn't count.
Yeah, Glimpse and Thrill didn't even count to it. It's just to clear faster. It's nerfed because it prevented them from adding cooler ego gifts to the, because that's why it was nerfed. Thrill wasn't even that bad of it. Obviously, Thrill got unironically buffed, but Glimpse would probably be the hardest one here. There's a lot more cooler burn egos now that like help you with. It's more varied, I feel like. A more varied team, I kind of feel like we don't get enough Sinner interactions. Like, I want to see a post-Kana 7 Don talk to Yisang about what it means to dream. Ethan Sinclair talk about losing people who make up your world, etc. So I obviously love what we have already, especially with easily missable interactions like Don and Ryoshu at the end of Nocturnal Sweeping, when talking about urges for blood and violence. This is kind of just a situation of what is important on screen and what is not important on screen. That's just kind of what it is. As it said, there are a lot of subtle interactions that they have each other, but I do understand what they mean.
I think I'm seeing them talk. And I'm like starting off skeptical, but then like they're across the room. I'm slowly like inching my way further. I'm slowly like shuffling my feet towards their side and saying, you know, buddy, we can talk.
Okay. I like that they give examples, and it's not just leave it flat.
Yeah, no, the examples help me like see the vision a lot more. I think there are a lot of things that we talk about that have been brought up here that are saying like, oh, this would be a nice idea. Yeah. Oh, this is something that would make the game better. Like anywhere from artifacts to a hard mode to everything, to Uptie 5, yada, yada, yada. Personally, and I am absolutely biased on this, I would like to see, and some people I'm going to make very happy, and some people are going to like groan and be upset when I phrase it this way. I don't know a better way to phrase it. I want to see support conversations between the sinners. I think that'd be fun. I think like that is the easiest way to frame it as a concept. I don't know how it would be in practice. I was hoping that was going to be them revealing a feature where we could customize the bus and have a little UI where we just get to see the sinners hang out.
Oh, I get what you mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Like a little hub where they're just chilling.
And maybe that's where, like, the little artifacts would come in, where, like, maybe if you have one little bus decoration, like Yuri's gas mask, then you get plus 2% to hit, or for a head coin, because hers is gone. But I think that would lend itself to this one. There are only so many times where you can reasonably talk about Otis and Gregor being on the opposite sides of the smoke war and have that be engaging.
You know what this is? I just had a brain thought. The mini episodes.
Like, not the intervalos.
No, the mini ones. The ones that are in between the intervalos. Remember, there was a lot of... We don't have many mini episodes anymore. They were the one they're just non-voice acted and stuff. Well, obviously, they're getting voice acted now. If you didn't know that, the mini episodes actually getting voice acted alongside the intervalos.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Okay.
But those little mini episodes that were pretty much just random fuck off like moments of the only ones we really get now are the Walpurgis mini episodes. We don't really get many more.
That's true. We got to see like Dante and Faust carry Heathcliff's like
Yeah.
unconscious body out of the back door.
So I guess
That's
we
true.
we haven't really had many. So I mean, it would be nice to get me some more. You can put them there. Obviously, they're not voice acted, so you don't have to worry about that.
I don't mind the 15-3 Rupture, as I thought it made using Rupture more interesting. You had to think on the order of attacks more, and you still had access to good count generators. I agree to an extent. I think this is one of those things where it started off good in concept, and then got worse in execution the more IDs got it. Because like Deviant Rojas? Phenomenal. Maintaining count, just not invoking more potency.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's glorious. But then if you're going to keep consuming the count after you hit 15-3, you gotta give me more than giving me 2 to 4 defense level down, man.
I think here's the thing, right? I agree with you. I like 15-3. I think 15-3 is viable depending on which ones it is. Now, obviously, Devias Sinclair gets memed on the most, but Devias Sinclair also has, like, as an ID, is way more count applicable than Roger is.
Yes.
So he is supposed to be used as you start off the fight, you reach his moment where you hit 15-3. By the time you've done that, he can retreat, pull in Roja, and now she benefits from it. 15-3, we're probably never going to see it again because of Talisman's gone, so we're probably never seeing it again.
Well, I mean, personally, I think that every Rupture ID should get 15-3 at Uptie 5.
Ooh, you know what? What if... okay, hold on. Do you think 15-3 would be solved if it was just 15-5? Do you think anyone would have any complaints if it was 15-5?
Nah, no, I think there'd be complaints. I think that's just kicking the can down.
You think so? You think so? I feel like if it was 15-5, I think no one would give a shit. I think everyone would be like, oh, it's whatever, I got 5 Rupture count. The thing about Rupture, right, is that Rupture is the only status effect where, well, not really the only status effect, but because of the way the game system works, being at 1 or 2 is like being at 0. That's the problem with Rupture, right? If Rupture did not work like that, if it worked where it applied the infliction first and then took it away, then that wouldn't be, then Rupture would never be an issue. If you hit something at 2, you better hope you have a Clash Win Rupture conditional to follow up, or you better hope you're neutral or like positive on every coin, right?
Yeah, that's true. The most important Rupture count is your last one. That is a very solid point to make there.
And that's where I can see the argument where maybe if it was 15-5, it wouldn't be that much of an issue because you have so much to work with within that 3 to 5 range. But well,
in all seriousness, though, in all seriousness, though, I do think that having a 53, if they leaned into it as a playstyle and trying to get enemies over to that, just like, and keeping them there as long as possible would not be the worst way to handle Rupture.
It really just depends on what the effect does. So, RIP 15-3, and I guess we'll call it there.
I think so.
Yeah, we'll nothing wrong with that.
Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, guys. Well, you know what, guys? If this does really well and you guys really like it, maybe you would be interested in continuing Frey. Who knows? Maybe.
And you know, maybe a good sign to do that would be to like and subscribe at the end of the video.
Wow.
Do those things because they genuinely help.
Yeah.
That's not even a lie, guys.
Please,
That's not even
I'm decrying the YouTube algorithm. Oh god. And don't forget to also subscribe to Frey's channel too. I'd like to give a big thank you to everyone who watches my videos, and a massive shout out to channel members, donators, and gifters. Your continual support means the world to me. Thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate all of your efforts.